Hello and welcome to The Hub. The third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation has concluded in Beijing. As the most important diplomatic event hosted by China this year, what specific significance does it carry for international cooperation and global synergy? As the Belt and Road Initiative celebrates its 10th anniversary, what kind of new blueprint has it provided?
It's Beijing's moment as the Chinese capital welcomes world leaders, charting the course for the common good. Chinese President Xi Jinping shared his vision of cooperation between countries under the Belt and Road framework.
We have learned that humankind is a community with a shared future. China can only do well when the world is doing well. When China does well, the world will get even better. Through Belt and Road cooperation, China is opening its door even wider to the world. An additional 80 billion yuan will be injected into the Silk Road Fund. Together, they will support BRI projects on the basis of market and business operation.
The Belt and Road Initiative has not just focused on infrastructure and trade. Cooperation has expanded to new industries such as healthcare, low-carbon energy, the digital economy, and innovation. The meeting hall is flanked by the flags of participating countries. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China's friend circle has become larger, and the initiative has brought a new path for the world to realize modernization.
The modernization we are pursuing is not for China alone, but for all developing countries through our joint efforts. Global modernization should be pursued to enhance peaceful development and mutually beneficial cooperation, and bring prosperity to all.
The Chinese president first announced the initiative during official visits to Kazakhstan and Indonesia in 2013. A decade of endeavor has left tangible outcomes. China has signed over 230 cooperation documents with more than 150 countries and 30 international organizations.
Without infrastructure, including infrastructure, there can be no development. And without development support, many developing countries will be starved of the infrastructure they desperately need. Infrastructure is the foundation of everyday life for people and economies.
There is no exaggeration in saying that the BRI has injected new vitality into the ancient Silk Road. So the BRI, put forth by China, is a mega cooperation project in the 21st century. In the next 3 years, we plan to build 1,300 kilometres of railway, and we'll open the third cross-border railway along our border with China and establish new land ports.
The chair's statement from this year's summit captures the consensus among participants and lays out the future direction of cooperation. A list of multilateral cooperation deliverables and a list of practical projects have also been released. The Belt and Road Initiative has brought far-reaching global impact in the past 10 years. This gathering has carried on the foundation, taking the friendship to the next level for the common development and prosperity. Zhao Yunfei, CGTN, Beijing.
In the past year, I've had the chance to meet many heads of state and organizations that have been involved in Belt and Road projects. And I went to specific sites to see with my own eyes how the BRI has evolved. To begin with, let's first go back to where it all started.
10 years ago, it was in the hall behind me here in Nazarbayev University where the Belt and Road Initiative was first proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping. 10 years on, this program has generated a lot of headlines and debate around the world.
千百年来，在这条古老的丝绸之路上，各国人民共同谱写千古传颂的友好篇章。为了使欧亚各国经济联系更加紧密，相互合作更加深入，发展空间更加广阔，我们可以用创新的合作模式，共同建设丝绸之路经济带。
In the course of 10 years of development, the Belt and Road Initiative has helped alleviate poverty in many regions and kickstart economic growth by facilitating trade and creating jobs. The BRI was first proposed by China, but it has become a mega project that has ripple effects around the world.
Mr. President, we're marking the 10th anniversary of the BRI. How do you look at the merits of the BRI and what do you think has brought to your country?
It's a very promising mega project, and Kazakhstan strongly supports the concept which has been elaborated here 10 years ago by President Xi Jinping. This project may bring a lot of benefits for so many countries. So Kazakhstan plays a crucial role in implementing this project.
10年前，哈萨克斯坦还仅仅是一个封闭的内陆国，鲜有人知。但是今天呢，由于得益于“一带一路”的建设，哈萨克呢已经成为了一个欧亚大陆上一个非常重要的一个交通枢纽。当然，哈萨克斯坦在这个过程当中也获得了巨大的收益，解决了大量的就业，修建了大量的基础设施，这个增加了这个财政收入，同时也扩大了它的知名度。“一带一路”高质量贡献“一带一路”，为中哈关系又注入了新的动力。建交之初，中哈的贸易额不过才2亿多美元，1992年、93年的时候。那么今天，两国的贸易额呢已经突破了这个300亿美元，同比增长了70倍。
Over the past decade, the BRI's circle of friends has continued to expand, with more than 150 countries and over 30 international organizations having signed up to jointly build the BRI, while breaking free from the stereotypical mindset of geopolitical gambling. It has created a new paradigm for international cooperation and brought concrete benefits to the people in all participating countries.
Мне представляется, была очень своевременной и хорошо развивается. Ведь эта идея, в ее основе лежит попытка объединить возможности многих стран для достижения общих целей развития. Это хорошая, правильная и технологически выстроенная инициатива, которая развивается.
خوب جناب عالی مطلعید که همکاری بین ایران و چین برمیگرده به صدها سال قبل و تمدن چینی و تمدن ایرانی و جاده ابریشم که امروز ابتکار آقای رئیس جمهور چین، طرح در واقع کمربند راه یا جاده است که از ناحیه ایشون مطرح شده و مورد استقبال ما قرار گرفته. موضوع توسعه جهانی است که ابتکار دیگر آقای رئیس جمهور است. به همین ترتیب امنیت جهانی است که هم ابتکار امنیت جهانی، هم ابتکار توسعه جهانی و هم ابتکار کمربند راه، هر سه ابتکار آقای رئیس جمهور مورد حمایت ماست، خاطر اینکه اولا اون ارتباط باستانی جاده ابریشم احیا خواهد شد به نحو مدرن و نوین که صورت خواهد گرفت در منطقه، و در ثانی روابط تجاری و اقتصادی منطقه تسهیل خواهد شد. من به نظرم این ایده کمربند راه وضعیت تجاری و اقتصادی منطقه رو و شاید بخش جدی از جهان رو تسهیل میکنه و آسان میکنه و این باعث میشه که به ظرفیت‌های کشورهای این مسیر توجه بیشتری بشه و من به نظرم این ایده میتونه در جهت اهداف مهمی که در سازمان همکاری‌های شانگهای هست و اهداف مهمی که در توسعه جهانی هست، این ایده نقش آفرین باشه. ما هم حتما در جهت تحقق این ایده همکاری لازم رو خواهیم داشت.
Since the Belt and Road Initiative started in 2013, it has been transformative in many ways, particularly for the African continent, focusing in those areas that Africa has lagged behind. Because if you look at Africa, particularly in the area of infrastructure, every metric, whether you look at people that have access to energy or rail network that is in the continent or road network or ports or airports, all those, Africa lags very much behind what you might call the average statistics around the world. And China has supported not only Africa, under this program, over 3,000 projects have been implemented by countries that are members of Belt and Road Initiative or who participate, which are more than 140, 150, plus many international organizations. In fact, if you look at the total investment that has come out of it, out of these programs, over 1 trillion has been invested. And Africa, if you look at Africa itself, a lot of projects that have been implemented, China now steps more or less ahead of any country, including the World Bank, in supporting infrastructure projects. And the infrastructure projects are transformative in many ways because they create, first of all, they create investment opportunities by lowering the cost of doing business, access to markets. They open up some of the areas like what you mentioned, the lithium, the hydro project in Uganda, plus also where I sit in Kenya, we have the Tazara, we have the SGR, which has also supported in many ways. If you look at SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi, it has reduced the time of doing business, reduced the number of vehicles on the road, like 500 buses or trucks out of the road per day. Imagine what that means in terms of saving costs, saving lives, and also mitigating against climate. In addition to all these projects, under the Belt and Road Initiative, you have programs like people-to-people cooperation. So many African students studying in China at the moment, and a number of areas in the area of investment cooperation and others. So yes, this cooperation, which has been over the last 10 years, has seen that relationship grow stronger, and Africa has benefited a lot.
Despite positive results of BRI cooperation, some in the West have been hyping the BRI as China's so-called conspiracy to expand its clouds, calling it that trap. What's the reality on the ground, though? In 2018, Guyana became the first nation in South America to join the Belt and Road Initiative. According to official data, the focus of BRI in infrastructure, particularly in energy and transport, expanded to about 73% in the first half of 2022, up from 63% in 2021. In some Western critics' eyes, however, such framework is a tool China uses to expand political influence to African and Latin American and Caribbean countries. But many partner countries would tell you that China's approach is very different from their memory of Western colonization.
We know that over the years, many reporters in Western news media described China's economic activities and economic investment, for example, in Latin America and the Caribbean, your country included, as predatory and neo-colonialism. Do you agree? Is that how you feel too, Mr. President?
Well, if that was how I felt, I would not have been alluding throughout this interview to our welcoming nature for Chinese investment and investors. And I would not have made the statements that I just made, that we see Chinese investment and investors as an important and integral part of the development and advancement of our country. What we want is exactly what I'm sure China wants. It's for those investments to bring the greatest benefit to the people of our country and also to support the development and advancement of China. So we see the development of our relationship as one that would only get stronger. We see the investment from China as an important part of the investment portfolio and development portfolio of our country moving forward. That is how I see it.
The Bar-Boljare Highway that's connecting Montenegro south to the north came under great scrutiny. There has been so much negative press, so much controversy.
An expensive road to nowhere.
The ambitious plan, bankrolled by massive loans from China, has become an economic dead end for Montenegro.
It's now become the country's highway to hell.
The decision to build here was a mistake.
Just to be fair, as journalists, we thought what better way to verify some of these claims than to actually come over here and see for ourselves. First of all, for God's sake, it's not a road to nowhere. It does have a starting point at Montenegro's Mediterranean port of Bar and ends at its northern city of Bar-Boljare at the Serbian border. The first section, also the most difficult one to build, is now complete, with more to boot, of course. And once all done, it will be the first highway in Montenegro's history. But why a new highway? Well, just look at this old one, a path Montenegrins themselves have called the Death Road. This is the drive on a good day, and it's supposed to be a 2-lane expressway. But oops. On a rainy day, the narrow path along the Malatsa River Canyon, one of the deepest in Europe, can be dangerous or deadly to be exact. In the past decades, around 1,200 people died in car accidents on the old road, according to official data. These flowers were tribute to those who died over the years. Now, this is the new highway built by China Road and Bridge Corporation, or CRBC, with its local partners. It's a dual 3-lane driveway. It's wider, it's smoother, and trust me, more importantly, it feels safer. For those Western journalists who claimed years ago that this would be a highway to hell, I highly recommend that they come here and drive on it as I did. To build the highway, China offered Montenegro a 20-year loan at an interest rate of 2% with a 6-year grace period. Some friends in the West are insinuating that China somehow forced this infrastructure project and the financing plan on Montenegro to foster political dependence. But how much of a debt burden is it really for this small European country? Vatroslav Belan was advisor to the Deputy Prime Minister of Montenegro on financial affairs. And Mr. Belan, you know this better than I do. There are concerns about the nature of this loan and whether or not it creates excessive debt burden on the part of Montenegro. Some call it debt trap diplomacy.
I have to oppose that Montenegrin economy is very stable. It is stable, and we can afford us to do all our duties, or all financial duties regarding that loan.
Today, with a Google search of China, Montenegro, top headlines still revolve around how expensive this highway is, as if Montenegro has been ripped off or overcharged. Let's do some research. China constructed Bar-Boljare Highway in Montenegro cost around 20 million euros per kilometer. Where does it stand? According to World Highway, Germany and Austria, 2 countries situated along the Alps, spend an average of 28.9 million euros and 27.8 million euros per kilometer on their highways. Romania spent 34 million euros per kilometer for its mountainous Transylvania highway, and France spent 133 million euros per kilometer to rebuild a highway in its hilly Reunion Island. How much of a debt burden is it for Montenegro?
Well, when you put it on a blank paper, the loan which Exim Bank gave to Montenegro represents, I would say, high percentages in Montenegrin GDP. Yeah. However, if you want to build, you need to have resources, and Montenegro did not have resources, so the only way is actually to go and to seek for it from the financing institutions. And there is very, I would say, flexible and quite a long time when Montenegro should return the loan.
A 20-year loan with 6-year grace period, right?
Exactly.
And 2% interest rate.
Yeah, it was not the highest, let's say it was like below the average, I would say, that time, based on information I have. It was in the period of recovery of the world economy after its crash in 2008, so 2013 was for sure the good period for recovering of economies, and it was good for Montenegro to decide at that time to construct it without holding the decision, because I believe that much more damage would make if the decision was held for a few more years or decades.
I could only assume that there can be benefits to locals when it comes to transport industry, tourism, and others, right?
Yeah, it's totally like indirect benefits when it comes to the development of the local communities along the highway, which is to be expected. Of course, it's not happening immediately, but it takes time to develop, because it will make transit easier, and it will make for tourism, which is one of the main industries in Montenegro actually, it will make much more accessible some villages which are at the moment along the highway, speaking only about the first section, and in the future, when entire highway is finished, this will be like a big boost for Montenegro economy, and it can bring many more investors.
Since 2015, China has begun to promote eco-sustainability in the Belt and Road Initiative through not only vision statements but also specific guidelines and governance initiatives. Besides promoting low-carbon technologies, China has also been actively helping Belt and Road partner countries, especially developing countries, with their green transition.
Erik, let's talk about the greening of the BRI. What are the progress of the greening of the BRI?
There is now enormous optimism, particularly because when President Xi Jinping decided that China will stop all overseas coal investment, it had immediate impact. And coal investment, of course, came down, but also the desire from everyone to ask China, please come and help us with solar, with wind, high-speed rail, electric buses, all the alternative technologies. That desire is now so strong. So we see Belt and Road and this Green Belt and Road Coalition as a main vehicle to provide Chinese investment, Chinese technology, and also exchange of views between China and the world on the green developments.
What are some of the success stories?
I lived for some years in Kenya. If you travel through the city of Mombasa, frankly, that's a quite poor and somewhat run-down city, so it's not really inspiring you traveling through the city. But then, wow, you come to the Nairobi-Mombasa Railroad. The rail station is completely green, everything is well functioning, it's completely clean, it's a completely new world, and of course it shows the people of Kenya the future and how much Chinese investment can bring to Kenya. And this railroad is done with a lot of attention to nature, that bypasses so that elephants and other animals can pass under or over the railroad.
We're marking the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, something that has been conceived in Astana, Kazakhstan 10 years ago by the Chinese president there, giving a speech to an audience in Central Asia. 10 years on, there are debates about the merits of this project. I guess the jury might still be out, but what do you think of this project 10 years on?
The jury is still out, of course, but let's remember, the project is nested in the current economic development model. It's not broken free from that yet. And so, for sure, any infrastructure project to this day, it's still having an unacceptable impact on the environment. But we're seeing movement and progress in the right direction. That's what we really need to focus on, and to accelerate that transition. And that's what the initiative that we are launching today, the second phase, in fact, of the Greening of the Belt and Road Initiative, is all about. It's about now that we know what we need to do. Now we need to apply in the design phase, implementation phase of infrastructure investment projects and deliver the outcome that we want. Positive for the economy and the growth, positive for the environment and social development. And I think all this is possible. And I can tell for sure that the commitment, the political commitment behind this is very strong. That's why we have agreed to join this initiative.
Marco, tell us a bit about the BRIGC. What is this organization all about, and what is it doing now?
So this has been obviously an initiative already existing, launched and supported by President Xi at the time of the launch of the BRI. So there was already, as part of this Chinese concept of ecological civilization, there was already a commitment to make the Belt and Road Initiative green as possible from the beginning. But now that commitment is even stronger, because it's not just about making the BRI green. It's actually about making the BRI contributing to a global green agenda. And then there is the linear infrastructure, which is roads, railways, which are actually having an impact on nature, on natural habitats, on biodiversity. And there is a great opportunity here to make sure that actually, by not just looking at mitigating the impact of the road, but looking at the implications of the road for the whole landscape, we can actually not only mitigate the impact of the routing of the infrastructure, but actually we can contribute to the conservation, the protection, sustainable development of the entire region where the infrastructure is based. And so, again, a net positive outcome, not just limit the damage, but actually do good, contribute to a larger conservation of the nature agenda.
Marco, how would you assess the role of China in not only the greening of the Chinese economy, but also in assuming this global green leadership role, if you will?
Well, I mean, China is in an absolutely fantastic position to lead this transition, or to help lead, contribute to this transition in a significant way. First of all, you are at the epicenter of the global economy as a major manufacturing and more country. So, you know, the decision that you take have repercussions globally, inevitably, through the supply chains you are part of. Secondly, you also are geopolitically in a position that is close to the developing world. You're seen as a peer of many developing countries, and so you're in a position to forge a very different relationship, narrative discussion than perhaps the North and the West is in some cases. And I think China has demonstrated by scaling up first domestically and then internationally, for example, renewable energy technology, that you can do that in so many other fields. One thing which is one of my dreams is that China could repeat that incredible contribution to the world, a gift to the world of reducing the cost of renewable energy in the field of biodegradable plastic, polymers. Plastic is another big issue that we're facing today. It's increasingly dangerous, we understand, increasingly dangerous for human health as well as for ecosystem and environment. And so imagine if China could develop a technology that really come up with polymers which are truly highly biodegradable, and which are now already there almost, but need the investment to be scaled up, crash the price, the world will be ready like it was with solar panels to embrace it. So China has got plenty of opportunities because you have the economy, the size of the country, and your position in global supply chains.
With that, we come to the end of this edition of The Hub on CGTN. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Wang Guan. I'll see you again soon.